So we say really quickly, my name is Gina Dingman. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I am part of Quote Wizard's agent education team. Quote Wizard, as you all know, supplies high intent leads and calls to captive and independent agents. Few housekeeping, this recording I will be sending out next week along with some resources. So don't worry if you miss anything, you'll get all this great info. We're really, really excited to have Jeff Hogue with us today. Jeff has worked with thousands of insurance agents, and he's been at Quote Wizard for 12 years. He is currently the director of agent sales. He's going to tell you all about himself, but I want to say I've worked personally and closely with Jeff, and I can say that he is incredibly driven. He knows all of the data, ins and out of the market, and also he is a master motivator. So we are so excited to have him today and his knowledge. So whenever you're ready, Jeff, to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Gina. Jimmy, I see that you said there may be a little bit of an echo. Is that still going on here? Let's see. Maybe Gina's muted herself, so could somebody tell me if there's still an echo going on?
There is a little bit.
Okay. All right. We are going to press on. Gina, if you could just let me know if it gets unbearable here. But thank you, Gina. I really appreciate the intro. I am Jeff Hogue. I will be presenting to you today. I'm really excited to share some of this data that we gathered from clients here. So, um, all right, a little intro on me. I've been with Quote Wizard since 2013. I'm currently the director of agent sales. I started on our sales team as an account executive, became the sales floor manager, and worked my way up. So purely sales from the get-go, and I've really loved every second of it. So directly while I was on the frontline sales team, I signed up thousands of agents, which was really awesome for me to get to know everybody in the industry here. If you go to my managerial experience, it's not an exaggeration to say that we have had hundreds of thousands of agents since 2013 that have signed up with our services and used us to grow their business. Just a little bit more background on me. Education-wise, I went to Washington State University, coming to you live here in Seattle, so I'm still located in Washington, and I'm currently pursuing my MBA at Washington University in St. Louis. So really proud of my schools, really proud to help everybody in this industry be the best that they can. All right, so what motivated me to do this? I think over the past couple of years, and now there's probably some people on this call who would say that they're still dealing with a hard market. I think for a lot of us, we're kind of out of the woods when it comes to that, but maybe there's somebody from California on here or running into some underwriting problems. But what is a hard market? Because this is what motivated me to put this together for you. There is a formal definition of a hard market per the Insurance Risk Management Institute. The hard market is, sorry, let me minimize that. A hard market is the upswing in the insurance market cycle when premiums increase, coverage terms are restricted, and capacity for most types of insurance decreases. So this was something that due to inflation, we were dealing with as an entire industry. And you probably heard this term floating around. Here's some headlines that I pulled from what I would call the peak of the hard market, which was really 2023, quite a bit of 2024. Again, we're largely on the other side for a lot of states at this point, but something that you definitely heard of the past couple of years. We subscribe to an industry journal called P&C Specialist to keep everybody in our company up on the industry because many people here are not selling insurance directly. But some headlines I pulled. The burnout is real. Agents hit by carriers moves to bolster bottom lines. I had some of our agent friends go to their social media groups and pull some posts from 2023. Here's one that got a lot of interest. I no longer identify as an insurance producer. I now am only going to be referring to myself as an insurance rate explainer. Every single call is, why are my rates increasing? Why do you pull more than my regular bill? A lot of frustration there. As you can see, that got a lot of likes and a lot of comments. Some more headlines. P&C carriers get no reprieve. Q2 closes with possible record cat losses, little profit. How are you guys explaining these rate increases to your clients with the way the market is today between inflation and the rate increases? Again, I could have pulled a dozen more of these, but you kind of get the gist of it. I wanted to put together something to talk about the why because we are doing really important work here. You are doing really important work here. Now that we're on the other side, let's reflect a little bit and get going. So this was a collective effort by my sales team. I put a survey in front of them and said, every person coming through the door, I want you to ask them a couple questions. We got over 550 responses, and here are the preliminary results here. This was from July 2025, so just last month, very recent. We got 560 responses. Agency breakdown, it was about 69% captive agents, 31% independent. From that 31% independent, I did break it down between P&C and life and health. So it was about a 50-50 split there. Overall, a good sample size and some good representation from all sides. The primary questions I had them ask. Number one, why did you decide to become an insurance agent? I thought that was a really important one. Number two, do you have any non-monetary goals that you'd like to share? And then number three, how do you measure progress on these goals? I'll tell you what I learned. I am not the best survey maker in the world. I still got some very interesting responses, but I'd probably refine some stuff if I were to go forward, and I'll talk about why in a bit. All right. So the first one, and again, something that Gina asked you at the beginning of this, is why did you decide to become an insurance agent? And I thought we got some really interesting responses. Here's a little snippet of the word cloud that I got from that. You can see it right in the chat here. The number one response was to help people. There are some common themes, though. Number one, helping people was the biggest one, but I was really surprised to see that our number two motivator for becoming an insurance agent was a lot of family businesses. A lot of people said, my dad was an agent, my mom was an agent, somebody in the family was an agent, or let's take that a layer deeper. They wanted to create a family business. So a lot of insurance agencies, the founder will be somebody, and maybe their family comes to work for them. So I thought that was really interesting and cool. Financial freedom, obviously, most people show up to work to make money. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think that the insurance industry provides a path to own your own business, be financially free. And that goes into that fourth big theme here, which was being your own boss. I think that there's a lot of power. It's a little bit of the American dream there to own your own business and be your own boss. So we saw that reflected in this. But far and away, the number one reason was helping people. And I think that that's great. Let's continue on here. There's a changing landscape of insurance sales. So we went ahead and pulled some studies to kind of see the statistics behind what's happening in the insurance sales industry. According to a 2022 Deloitte survey, 60% of consumers preferred buying insurance online. Okay, that provides a bit of an issue for us, but there are a lot of conflicting priorities here because if you go a little bit deeper, there was a YouGov research study that mentioned that 75% of millennials and Gen Zs say that they prefer to interact digitally with insurance providers. However, there is a lot of trust lost there, and we'll go into that in a bit. So the industry trends are driving to direct to consumer. And you can see, here are some of the headlines of what's happening currently in the industry as we come out of this hard market. But I want to talk a little bit about why we provide value, why we are still the main driver of what's happening, despite some of those stats. And I think the biggest one is this Gallup research poll that said that only 35% of online users felt confident in understanding policy terms through digital platforms. So again, huge conflict here. You have a whole generation that prefers to do business in a certain way, but then once they do business in that certain way, They're sitting there not trusting exactly what's going on. If I were to pose the question to all of you, you know, I see some common things in social media groups about terms like full coverage. You know, I think that that's a little bit of a trigger for a lot of people, and how many consumers will use that as vocabulary to show that they know what they're doing, when in fact, someone like you, who's a professional, would come in and say, "Hey, a little bit of a loaded term, and let me explain exactly what it would mean for you." Because everybody's situation is different, and that's why there are so many factors in the insurance industry. I really wanted to focus on tying it back to the why, and that's why I went and asked all of you why you're doing what you're doing. Because number one, you're a valued member of the community. If you go back to some of the survey results, you'll see that the reason people are doing this is to help their community, to be a pillar in their community, because it's a family business and they like and value, and their customers like and value having their name right there for them. You're the people who are going to the farmers market and setting up a booth. You are the people that are sponsoring the Little League team, and that's a huge thing. It's a huge thing for a lot of people. You also directly employ people who give back to your community. And I'm not talking about just in a monetary sense. Like, of course, if you hire somebody at your office, they're probably spending money in your community, and everything goes back. But, you know, it's very rewarding. And another theme that I saw in the survey results to show that you like to employ people and create gainful members of society. And I do the same thing, and I think it's great. You may even have done all of this as a family business to leave a legacy. I think that's a big motivator and driver for a lot of people. But the most important part is you understand people, which makes you the best person to help them. Uh, for somebody who goes online to get a quote, they could say, okay, well, you know, our algorithm says that this is your best deal. You might understand it a little differently. I'll give you an example as somebody who, again, lives in the Seattle area. When I talked to my insurance agent, they said, hey, I really think that you need to up your coverages, because if you drive around in the Seattle area, you're seeing a lot of expensive cars. You know, we have a lot of tech workers here. They like to spend their money on the latest, greatest cars. All it takes is a two-car pileup when one of those is a Tesla and the other one's a BMW M3, and then suddenly you are maxed out on your coverages here. So you should probably up those. That's something that an algorithm was not going to shoot to me. That is something that was a special touch. Haven't had to use that, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's something that I wasn't going to be told if I didn't choose to talk to somebody. This is why the why is important here. I have a couple things for all of you, some things that I want to share, and a request. So while I was doing this, I'll start with my request first, which is I want to talk to you. I think what I learned from some of the stories that I was told is that there's a big yearning to share your stories out there. So what has inspired me here is I'm going to start a short form 5 to 10 minute interview series with agents out there. You don't have to be a customer of ours to be eligible for this. Would be great if you are, but that is your choice. Shoot me an email, jhogue, jhogue @tree.com. I want to hear your story if you're interested in having it recorded and shared. We'll ask questions a lot like what you see on this webinar here. Why'd you get into the game? Tell me a little bit about your community. You saw the whole diversity of the communities of people who are joining this webinar right here. We can talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about a crazy coverage story that you might have. But I think that there is a few too many podcasts in our industry that are trying to sell something, and very few podcasts in our industry that are just sharing your stories. And at the end of the day, I think people are more interested in hearing your story than you might think. So if you'd be interested in talking to me for 5 to 10 minutes and maybe putting it out there, shoot me a line. I also have a worksheet that I want to share with you in order to help you. Maybe you didn't participate in my survey. The survey was also really short because Generally when we were giving it, people were ready to wrap it up with us and get on with their day. So Gina's going to email all of you a worksheet that I'll go through here in a couple minutes. And what the worksheet asks you to do is put together your why, and hopefully that becomes a motivator for you or something that you can use with your staff, because I think a lot of this is stuff that you talk about with clients every single day. Um, this is a quote wizard webinar, so I do have to do our plug. If you'd like to learn more about leads and services that help you reach some of those consumers who might be going online first these days, scan that QR code, drop us a line, reply to any of the emails that we send you, and we can tell you about our suite of products here. Let me pull up our worksheet here. Give me one moment. In the meantime, oh, go Cougs. All right. I love that. Sorry, just seeing the chat here. I'm going to pull up the worksheet and walk you all through it real quick because I think it has a couple more things that I'd like to share. All right. So, really great worksheet. Thank you, Gina. Let's walk through it. Again, this will be emailed to you. Discovering your why. I want I think somebody could tell you all day why other agents are doing it, or maybe even why you're doing it if you did the survey. But there's a lot of power in writing your thoughts down. There's a lot of power in saying them out loud. There's a lot of power in sharing them with your staff. So this is why we designed this. Section 1 is your personal why. What inspired you to become an insurance agent? Was it to help people? Seems like that's a primary motivator. Provide financial security, build a stable career. Write it down. Your answer might even be a little bit different when you write it down than what you think in your head. I want you to reflect on your proudest moment as an insurance agent. We had a lot of these. I wish that I could share all of the long form responses that we got, particularly with life insurance. I would say there were many responses of people that were really moving when they were able to help somebody through one of the lowest points of their life. It was very rewarding for the agent. So reflect on your proudest moment. What's a particular story that you really helped out with? What motivates you outside of monetary goals? And you can go anywhere with this one. Community, network, family. Again, I think a big motivator for some folks was providing those jobs for people, which I know that you might be able to put as a monetary goal, but I think it's a little bit bigger than that. Your daily focus. You take these goals, and that's when, if any of you have read a book like Atomic Habits, you take the big goal setting, and then you make it your personality. So what is your daily focus? Why do you believe working with an agent is valuable to your clients? Again, I told you that this worksheet is probably just helping you conceptualize a lot of stuff that you already tell people over the phone or in person every day. But when you write stuff down, when you share it with your staff, it might help you internalize that a bit and refine your message, because there are a lot of advantages for agents versus an online platform. And what keeps you energized and motivated during the tough moments? I try to tell this to my staff all the time. What really defines your career in sales is how do you deal with the tough days. If it crushes you, that's going to be a big challenge. If it's something that you can learn and motivate yourself from, I think that you're going to be really successful. Motivating your team. I know that there's probably some people on this webinar that might be a smaller agency. Maybe it's just you. There might be some people on this call that have 10 or more producers in our larger agency. I think this section is valuable no matter your size, because why would you share with your team to inspire them? And your team might just be you. It might just be you and one other person. But sometimes when we go to our why, we know why, and we could tell anybody right off the bat if they asked, but I don't think that we communicate it out as often as we should. So consider your personal why and how it connects to your team's purpose, values, and goals. How can you foster collaboration and discussion around the why in your agency? Do you have a chat program? Do you have a stand-up meeting every single day? Could you bring it to all of your folks and have them say the same thing? Or maybe you don't want them to say the same thing and you want everybody else to have their very personal version of it. But consistency is key. If you're constantly changing your why, it's going to be hard to have your message there. So, how can you foster collaboration and discussion in your agency? And then your action plan. Number one, set your short-term goals. Maybe you aren't saying your why when you're talking to people enough. Okay, a good short-term goal is saying, I want to make sure that I mention this on every call that I have this week as to why it's a lot more important to be working with me than somebody else. That's great. It could be something this quarter, it could be something in the next 3 months, it could be something that you just do today. But if you set that short-term goal, if you share it out, it will help you. Obviously, we all have long-term goals, and the follow-up questions on non-monetary things. I actually excluded a lot of that data in this presentation because a lot of it did actually tie back monetarily. People's primary goals when I asked them non-monetary was to grow, which, in my opinion, for an insurance agency, if you're looking to grow, that still is probably primarily a financial motivator there, but it's a great long-term goal for you to have. And then sharing it. I put this all together for you. Share your why. Tell everybody that you can. Some of you probably already do this to a high degree and are killing it. Others, maybe you got some value from this and you want to change something based on it. But number one, I think that in the insurance industry, it's going to be very important going forward to share our why. That's why I'm bringing it to you today, and hopefully you bring it to your clients. So share it with your clients, share it with your colleagues, talk to your dog, talk to anybody about it. Because when you say something out loud, it reinforces it within you. And if it's reinforced within you and it's something that you live by, it's going to help you. It's going to help you grow, and it's going to solidify that idea. So I want everybody to remember here that we're all doing this for a reason, and you could all list that reason out. And I thank everybody that listed that reason out for us. But it's your why that sets you apart. It's why your clients trust you. It's why your network grows. And it's why your team and you work with a passion. So, thank you all. That's what I had to share with you today. I would like to open it up. Any questions, comments, concerns that anybody wants to share with me today?
Yeah, feel free to put them in the chat. Jeff is a wealth of knowledge, not just with, the current market, but also with sales. So any questions you guys might have, if you feel shy, feel free to just message it to me. That will give everyone a minute. You're so welcome. Thanks for taking the time to be with us too. And also, yeah, if Jeff answered everything, that just goes to show.
All right, everyone. Well, kind of what I expected. I know that a lot of the stuff was motivational. And oh, when is your next podcast? Yeah, I really enjoyed putting all of this together. Again, I do want to reiterate, I would love to speak with some of you. You have good stories. I want to share them. Sometimes it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, but we're as good as our brand. And I think that a lot of you have a strong brand and want to talk about your communities. So drop me a line, please. And
Oh, I was gonna say we did have a question
yeah.
about positivity.
Mhm.
It can be really hard. So what is a way for agents themselves and also their team to keep that positivity?
Right. Yeah. So again, going back to the hard market, number one, you got to lean on your network. I think a lot of you are part of a bigger hive than you might think. So go seek out, if you don't have people that you can talk to directly every single day, go seek out some of those social media groups that I had some of our clients pull screenshots from. I think that number one, y'all are pretty funny. So, humor sometimes can help people cope with some tough times. People are generally really helpful. I think if you ever ask an insurance agent for advice, they're going to give it to you. And there's a big support network out there.
Good. I'm gonna call out Brett's comment because I think it's so true, and I think it really helps that worksheet resource about sometimes writing stuff down. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you are the same as me. When I write it down, it just clicks better for me. So thank you so much that like he said writing adds clarity. That's so good. And then how do you grow your network? What does your structure look like for that?
Yeah, so it's going to be different for me as somebody who primarily is responsible for getting in touch with all of you. But talking to our biggest clients, how do they grow their network? Number one, I know that in today's world, obviously stuff like Zoom is a very good resource. I will say that there is probably no substitute for sitting face to face with someone. So a lot of people will decide to attend industry events, if you work for a captive agency, maybe those are brokered for you. But there are a ton of networking events out there, big trade shows put on either by an outside organization, or a lot of agents have actually taken it upon themselves to create trade shows exclusively for agents. So you can grow your network that way. You can rapidly grow your network again by seeking out some of those social media groups. And I'll refrain from like dropping the names of those. I don't want to do any like undue advertising if they don't want me doing it, and I have not asked permission for that. So, but there's plenty of them. I'm sure if you ask some of your colleagues if they're part of any Facebook groups, for example, with insurance agents, they're out there, and there's multiple ways you can do it. You can also go hyper local. I'm sure your local chamber of commerce has quite a few insurance agents who are members of it. That might be a way for you to get face to face with people in your community on a more national scale, social media, state level scale, regional scale, trade shows. Hopefully that helps.
I was gonna say, and yeah, if anyone wants to drop your ideas in the chat, feel free. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Jeff. I think that answered everything for everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time today. For everyone who came live, again, we'll send those recordings. And if you want to share your story, I would love to hear. I'm so excited about the podcast idea. So feel free, and will share Jeff's email. I will share his email in our email so that you can get his contact information. All right. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.